Okay, onto the drill. We're going to go ahead and open that up and we're going to take a real quick look at how the drills work on this. So again, just like before, you can right click and do edit definition, or you have the ability to double click on the feature and bring up the dialog box. And you'll notice across the top of the tabs, we have a lot of stuff that is very similar. You'll also notice that it opened up the next feature right to the same tab you previously left off on. So we were on Optimize and Center Drill. We open up to the drill in the Optimize as well. So because most of these tabs are the same, we're not going to review those again. What we're going to take a look at is the drill hole parameters, because it's labeled different, although we end up with almost the same list. The only difference we now have, because it knows it's using a drill, is we have the ability to do gun drilling. And if I click gun drilling, we have the ability to set a lot more features to get the gun drill to work correctly, or to work to our specs. What we're going to end up doing here is we're just going to go to a pecking cycle, and then we're just going to set the sub peck amount to say, we'll do 375 thousandths at a time, or 3/8 of an inch. So we'll just type in 0.375, we'll hit OK. And then from there, we'll leave everything else the way it is because it's already been defined correctly. Now, you'll notice on your dialog box, you have two little buttons over here on the right. And these are simulation options. Now, this one is just like simulate the toolpath, where it just shows a graphical representation like what we see here on the screen. You'll notice we have dashed red lines, and then we have blue lines. Blue lines are the feed. Where it's at feed rate. The dashed red is actually going to show you where it's going to rapid and traverse. The reason these overlap is because we're doing pecking, so it's going to have a rapid in the middle of a feed. Normally this would just be a red and a blue scenario. The box with the X tells you where the tool is going to start first. So if I rotate this a little bit, you'll notice that the first hole it's going to come hit is this hole here, and then it's going to move around the part. The other option you have here is simulate graphically, and what this does is this actually brings up the full simulation that you've used in the past, or that you may be used to, and this gives you a bigger subset of features. So you have the ability to do turbo, where it just runs through it if you had a really long tool or a really long operation that you want to run. We can adjust the feeds and speeds here, so we'll slow it down a little bit. And then one of my favorite tools for checking individual features is single step. So if I click the single step button once, you'll see that the tool jumps out on screen. And if I just hit my enter key on the keyboard, then it will start running through the operation. So there was the peck. It comes up to clearance, moves over, starts to feed in again, and then it's going through the rapid. Hits the bottom. I hit enter again to get it to finish that step. Comes up to rapid, moves over, starts to feed. There's the peck cycle. And when it's doing the peck cycle, I'm not hitting enter. I'm just starting it, and then it runs through the peck cycle itself. And then that's the end of that operation. So you can easily check and see where that information lies. And then you also have the ability to change whether you see the stock in the part, whether it's a translucent display of the stock, whether we have translucent display of the part below it. So let's say we want this to be shaded, and then we wanted the stock to be translucent, and then you have the ability to show the holder, show the tool. We can ignore collisions if we want to. This will automatically, if we turn these on and we were to hit something, it would tell us or stop the program wherever that collision occurs. So now, if I back this up, we'll go back to start. We'll just hit our incremental. You can see there's the peck cycle for number 1. And remember when we talked earlier about it coming up 100 thousandths above the part, if I use my rotate tool, you can see that counting for the tip of that tool, it's 100 thousandths above the stock, just like our settings showed. There's 1 inch above. It's down to 100. Now it goes to feed mode, cycles down into the part, comes back up 100 thousandths, moves up 1 inch, then moves over. And that's all based off the parameters we looked at in the original center drill and followed through the drill tool. So it's really easy to check and determine how all this information comes out. And if everything's the way we like it, we just hit X, and then it automatically brings back up the tools that we were looking at previously. For your example, we'll go ahead down here to the bottom and we'll hit OK. Again, with my display being a little bit smaller, I'm just going to hit the X. But you can go ahead and hit OK, and then those tools and features are updated.